Now back to our top story now. Anwar Ibrahim's ascension to Malaysia's top job. We've been standing by to hear from the new Prime Minister. And in the meantime, let's get some analysis on what's been a momentous day for Malaysian politics. Dr. Johan Saravanamuttu, he joins us live now from Kuala Lumpur for more. He is adjunct senior fellow at the Malaysia Studies Programme at RSIS. Johan, it's an incredible comeback for Anwar Ibrahim. You know, he first lined up for this job back in the 1990s, before suddenly being sacked. He was jailed. The King and the Council of Rulers, they've decided Anwar is the man who can unite Malaysia. Is he?
Well, I think he stands a very good chance of doing it if he gets the on board, that national unity government that the young Di-Pertuan Agong or the King wanted. And it looks like this is happening. From what I can gather from the latest news, although these are not official announcements, the Barisan Nasional group of about 30 members of parliament will be joining his government. And more importantly, the GPS, the parties from Sarawak, will also be joining Anwar's, joining his government after apologies from the Secretary General of the Democratic Action Party about that they may have insulted the Sarawak, government in the past. So I think it looks all right that he's heading in the direction of creating what the King wanted, a national unity government.
That indeed is what the King wanted, but Muhyiddin Yassin, the head of Perikatan Nasional, he says he's not opposed to the idea of a unity government, but he has disputed Anwar Ibrahim's appointment as Prime Minister. How can Anwar cobble together this unity government when there is still this dissension, as it were, from a very critical component of what should be part of a unity government? Can Anwar simply ignore the demand that Muhyiddin is making?
He cannot ignore the demands that the Perikatan Nasional, which leader is making. And Perikatan Nasional, as we know, comprises two major political parties: the Bersatu Party headed by Muhyiddin himself, and the Islamic Party PAS, which actually won the most number of seats, 49 seats. So I think in terms of programs, if they are not part of the government of Anwar Ibrahim, in terms of programs, I think he will have to look closely at the manifesto of all the parties, in terms of what sort of policies he will have to cobble together to make this national unity government work. I mean, politics is like that. Sometimes we cannot have every single party or every single segment of politics involved in the running of government. But if we have enough of the major components or major players in the political system, in the government, I think we are able to create that momentum towards a national unity approach to government.
Well, Johan, it may or may not be a challenge for the new Prime Minister to actually pick and choose what is right from each of those manifestos in order to satisfy the electorate. But this unity government, presumably it will be a consultative government without, obviously, dominant control in the House of Representatives. But what is it going to mean for the quality of governance on thorny issues that Malaysia has grappled with for such a long time, the polarization amid race, religion, as well as reform? That's one of Anwar's big platforms, reform of government.
I know, yeah. So Anwar has come in as a reformist. Now, I neglected to add that one of the items in the manifesto of the PH and also some of the other parties was to have deputy prime ministers from the Borneo state, Sabah and Sarawak. So I think that would be one of the factors that could bring about more unity. The Sabah and Sarawak, parties have been calling for a better implementation of what is called the Malaysia Agreement of 1963. So I think bringing in two members of parliament who will actually be designated as as deputy prime ministers, will do a little bit in that direction. And to answer your question about the other sort of major questions about race, religion, and so on, I think there are enough people within the current configuration of what I think will be the current configuration of the Anwar Ibrahim government to deal with many of these issues. Certainly, I think we will have to have a Minister of National Unity. That, of course, we have had that before, but I think we have to put more bite into this, national unity minister or ministry, and maybe some legislations that would actually help to mend the frictions that are occurring within Malaysia's multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. I think that there needs to be some kind of race relations act, for example, that would prevent some of the extremists from making the kinds of statements, etc., inflammatory statements that they often make. So some of these legislative policies or legislations could actually be implemented by a government that is actually geared towards the idea of creating national unity.
Dr. Johan, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us while we wait for the new Prime Minister to actually come to the stage and address us. Dr. Johan Saravanamuttu there, Adjunct Senior Fellow at the Malaysia Studies Programme at RSAS.